San Lorenzo shares one history. It has many stories. The ocean has a story. 12 million years ago, it flowed here as one. The earth speaks of its past. 3 million years ago, the last of the isthmus rose above the sea, joining the great land masses of the Western Hemisphere. The wilderness entire will sing to you of its life here. An eons-long intermingling of North and South American plant and animal species. What we now call the Great American Interchange transformed and enriched this place, providing an unparalleled degree of biodiversity. Imperialism, colonialism, mercantilism, they too are chapters in this history, and you can read them in the ruins of the Castillo San Lorenzo el Real de Chagres. As well as any log or ledger, these walls will testify to the centuries-long procession of ships, armies, priests, slaves, and gold that was protected from atop this bluff in the name of the Spanish crown. The French Canal, like the rough draft to an abandoned epic, is the record of an enterprise gone awry. Began in 1882 by a private French corporation, the canal was a first attempt at reuniting the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans some 3 million years after their division. The project would ultimately run aground on a double reef of sanitary and technical burdens, costing the lives of over 20,000 workers and leaving only a few monuments to the effort. The Chagres River has a memory and a voice. She will recount for you the completion of the Panama Railroad in 1855 and the subsequent and abrupt halt in traffic between her banks. She will tell you that afterwards, for some 50 years, she ran her course in relative peace, and she will tell you, begrudgingly, that the United States purchased the French Canal interests in 1904, that they successfully completed the project in 1914, and that, to do so, they damned her. Lake Gatun, measuring 165 square miles, was created. It was the largest artificial lake in the world. Entire communities were relocated. Escobal, today located just outside the San Lorenzo area, is a descendant of those lost villages, los pueblos perdidos. The Gatun locks raise and lower ships a total of 26 meters as they enter and exit Lake Gatun. The story of the locks is one of bold ingenuity and technical perfection, recited incessantly, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, as the locks work non-stop to raise and lower each and every ship in transit. They remain one of the most impressive elements of what is arguably the 20th century's greatest engineering marvel, the Panama Canal. In 1903, the newly formed Republic of Panama ceded to the United States, as if sovereign territory, a strip of land 5 miles wide on either side of the canal prism line. This was the Canal Zone, the structuring element of San Lorenzo's history in the 20th century. The Panama Canal Company oversaw the day-to-day maintenance and operation of the canal and housed thousands of its employees in the zone. Those employees, as well as their families, will tell you that the San Lorenzo region was like a playground, forming only part of the immense natural resources at their disposal. The use of those same natural resources by the United States military is a different story altogether. The traces of its presence in San Lorenzo read like a textbook of strategic planning and control. Fort Sherman, the principal installation in the area, was commissioned just prior to the First World War, and from that time until the Second World War, its unique mission was to protect the canal primarily the locks and ports, against sea and air bombardment. When the first jungle training operations were held at Fort Sherman in 1953, the plot of San Lorenzo's centuries-long military epic twisted once again. In the 1960s, the United States Army headquartered its Jungle Operations Training Center at Fort Sherman. Vietnam-bound Green Berets, like the elite units of U.S. allied Latin American armies in the 1980s, would undergo rigorous combat exercises on the beaches and in the jungles of San Lorenzo. The jungle has its version of the story. It will admit to being harshly used, but it will tell you also that it still thrives, that San Lorenzo is today recognized as a global hotspot of biodiversity, that it forms a vital link in the Mesoamerican biological corridor, which runs from here north to Yucatan, Mexico. That thanks to the canal, the San Lorenzo area is part of the only continuous tropical forest ecosystem in the Americas to run from sea to sea, from the Caribbean to the Pacific. The Smithsonian Tropical Research Institute has worked in San Lorenzo since 1996, documenting the breadth of its wildlife and geology. Today, one of only 11 canopy cranes in the world operates here, providing new points of view from which to tell San Lorenzo's many stories. More than 4,000 Panamanians live in the San Lorenzo vicinity. They will tell you their stories.
Yo nací en Achote.
Tengo 37 años de vivir en la comunidad de La Tabla.
Hemos vivido toda la vida aquí.
They will tell you that they have been excluded from the staggering flow of wealth that passes so close, yet so far away. They will tell you that their relationship to the earth is visceral and immediate, that it is manifested in a daily barter of sweat for sustenance and time for energy, and that the ultimate dividends of that labor, paid in wisdom, community, and peace, depend on the sustainability of the San Lorenzo region.
That sustainability is in no way guaranteed. San Lorenzo stories are still being written and history is still unfolding. The canal zone came under Panamanian control in 1979, and 20 years later, the United States military left Fort Sherman, and San Lorenzo became a protected area. The plan right now is to make it a national park where communities benefit and participate.
CEASPA is working to make sure the story does indeed go that way. And you can help make it happen. Because although San Lorenzo has many stories, it has only one history and one future. And now is the time to make a difference.